It's 6:34. I'm going to call this raucous group to order. We have a quorum. The minutes of the meeting of April 3rd, which you received, I'm sorry, a little belatedly because I've been trying to do too many things lately.
Do you want to make a motion?
That would be nice.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes because they were exquisitely written and detailed beautifully by our recording secretary.
Thank you.
It's on the record.
Second.
Is there any discussion of the minutes? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Unanimously. Demo applications, 557 Elm Street.
Yes.
Can I ask you folks to just state your names? I'm taking the minutes. I have to write this down.
Yes, I'm Dave Corvello,
Dave Corbello?
Crovello,
And
with
could,
Pimento Contractors.
we have you speak at the podium where the mic will pick up your voice?
Okay.
Yeah, and if the green light's on, it's live.
It is on.
Okay.
What's your name?
Yes, I'm Robin Philp, it's Philp.
Are you the owner?
I am.
Thank you.
So if you've seen the plans, there is a sunroom on the building now, a fairly modern sunroom. And the hope was that we could leave that for a while, but it's leaking badly, and the more we looked into it, the more leaking I'm finding, and the wood's quite rotten, and I think at this point I don't have much of a choice but to replace it. So we're hoping to do something maybe more fitting with the building, some 12-light windows and a standing seam metal roof. Basically on the same existing foundation. There's a modern poured foundation there now, so we're not changing the footprint.
Sounds more like a greenhouse now than it does
Yes.
like a sunroom.
It kind of is, yeah.
Yeah.
It was put on in 1987, I think.
87.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty modern.
Yeah. Looked at, we should talk to the previous owners. Previous owners are our parents.
My parents, yeah.
And that's visible from the public way, that oblique angle as you're looking up at the house from Elm Street, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Very vaguely, yeah.
Okay. Just refresh my memory too, because I remember looking over the drawings and plans and so forth. So what are the structural materials going to be?
It's going to be conventionally framed with 2x6 wall framing and conventional roof framing.
Wood.
Right now, the roof is glass, because the whole thing is wrapped wooden glass. We're just going to do standing seam metal and no glass on the roof.
That should solve part of the leaking problem.
Yes.
And then, okay. And then guttering or downspouts, or are you just going to let the rain go down on?
Well, we are putting casement windows. We're going to do a simulated divided light casement window wrapped around the front and the two sides. So we probably will, at some point, put a gutter on there.
Yeah.
As far as siding, I'll match the clapboard that's on the house now. There's very little of it. It'll be mostly windows when we're done.
I understand.
Windows and trim.
Okay, thanks. That's all I have.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything? Questions?
Make a motion that we allow them to go ahead with these renovations as presented. No further comment.
I'll second it.
Any further comment? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Good luck.
Go to it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll all be watching because it's
I think it will
clear to
look
see.
really nice. I think it will make the house look more historical.
Okay.
That's the goal. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Her parents now live down the street from me. They moved out of this house on Elm Street to move up to Middle Street to a smaller house.
They must be afraid of rising tides.
I think they wanted less house, frankly. 33 Hetty Green Drive. I don't see anybody here to represent that building. What is your pleasure?
Which one is it?
Postpone till next month?
Petty Green Drive.
Yep, that's consistent with what we've been doing.
Oh. You want to vote on that just to be certain? All in favor? Motion
Aye.
made, somebody made a motion.
Motion, because the applicants did not attend tonight's meeting, that will postpone it till next month's meeting, June.
I'll second that.
Okay, how nice. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good deal. Okay, so now we get on to some real business. Imagine that. The preservation goals were posted on the town website when they were approved 10 years ago, and it's time for us to look at them again. And I think it's a good time to do it and to let CPC know how we feel about it. Who wants to start the discussion?
An extra copy of that. Is that,
How do you do?
Good, went too late, that was fast.
Are you 33 Hetty Green?
No,
We only have two things on our agenda.
I was the one for Crosby on Russell's Mill Road. I was trying to get in about shingling and replacing windows.
Yeah, but it apparently didn't get in on time.
Okay. Do you want the papers to look at this at least, or no? Want to wait?
It should be all on the website, right?
She set it all, she sent it all in there.
And there are pictures,
They're up.
and there are plans. Okay, see you next month.
Wait, can I just ask a quick question? So there are two houses, and you're working on the one that's light blue,
The one on the left.
and that was not built in 1965, it does not look like.
I don't know.
That's what it says on the assessor's card, so I was all confused about that. and you
That's
were
what I
gonna-
tried to sort out with you in our
Right, but you didn't
exchange.
send anything else when you got back to your laptop or whatever.
Oh, the house he's,
Anyways.
okay, there are two houses on this parcel.
Right, the one on the left and one on the
Yes,
right.
at 484 and 488.
Yeah.
As I explained to you, you're looking to the one 484.
Correct.
Which is recorded as having been built on the assessor's records in the 18th century, like 1794, something like that. I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember that exactly. The other one, which is red, right? It also dates from the same period, but it reads 1965 on the assessor's fields cards because I'm imagining they put on a two-car garage in 1965. That obviously wasn't original to the house.
right.
So I mean, I understand what house.
There's a little, that's almost everything right, but when I looked at your application,
Yeah.
and it says, locate property or something on the application,
Yeah.
I clicked on that, and it took me to the assessor's card, attached to that application, and that said 1965. So that's why I was confused.
There are two dates on there because I couldn't have possibly imagined the other date. Because if you
Yeah,
if you
I looked at
scroll
it.
down, did you scroll down? I think there are two.
I looked at date built, and it said
And I know, but
1965.
typically, or on this particular one, if you scroll down on the webpage, you do see the 1965 date,
Yeah.
but you also see the 1785 date too for the other
Where would
house.
you find that?
If you scroll down the page,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Because when I'm
And-
looking
and-
just to fill out the spreadsheet, I just look at the assessor's sheet and it said 65 and I put it on there and I flagged it because it just didn't make
Yeah.
sense looking at the house.
All right, doesn't look that old.
No.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's what I
Looks
thought.
looks a little older.
Yeah.
So
it's
that's-
just-
I
it's
was
just reshingling,
confused.
replacing the windows, and they're putting the windows back the same exact way they are, just using Anderson windows.
Yeah, but I know, but you still missed the deadline date.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, just come back.
It's
Yeah.
just the lead time on windows are crazy right now.
Right, but,
And they've been waiting, and we didn't find this out till we were ready to start that day,
Right.
because I didn't think it was gonna be this complicated.
but I mean, we have to be consistent with everybody, so I think that's fair.
All
Yeah.
right, good enough. Thanks.
Sorry. So you think the date on this house is what?
The date on his house, I believe, is 1785 or 1795, and I made some comments on our portal that I'll just show you briefly. Can you just hand that to me?
Yeah.
Let me see. You see, it looks like it probably just was a story and a half originally. See the Greek Revival entrance?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then this flared upper story looks like it's from the late 19th or early 20th century, so it's a bit deceiving. But you do see the center chimney.
Yep.
So it could have been a two-story, but they significantly remodeled it, or it could have just been a single-story gable roofed house. And another telltale sign is those big, nicely finished granite foundation stones that dates it, and that sort of thing.
Yep.
And the windows, the 2/1s obviously come later.
Yeah, I
probably.
knew how to date it.
Yeah, yeah.
From the architectural features. I
Yeah.
just was confused by what the assessor's card said, and I wanted to make sure that he was really talking about this building and not one of the other two buildings.
Okay, oh, right, okay.
That
I'm
were
so-
on the
okay.
property.
That got past me, that I didn't get back to you
Okay,
about that.
that's okay.
I just got busy, I think.
No
But
worries.
it's there, and we can look at it. I'm online, and we can look at it later if you want.
The assessor's cards are of dubious use,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
they said that my studio outbuilding that I wanted to demo was from 1800.
Oh, really?
Built
Made
it.
out of cinder blocks?
Right.
Yeah.
And stucco.
Yes. But when I talked to the assessor's office about putting in the proper dates from the Form Bs, they said it doesn't really matter for our tax record, so why should we bother to do that? And so therefore, here we are, we're just going to have to do our own thing.
Yep.
Okay. So, getting back
Back to
to
preservation
the
goals.
preservation goals. Who wants to start that discussion?
Well, I can bring up, Sue had something that she, 3 priorities, if I can just find out where I
Yeah,
wrote them
she's not
down.
here tonight. Is she not coming?
No, she had family. I thought I
Oh.
asked if she got in touch with you. I thought
She didn't mention that. She got in touch with me and discussed it, but she didn't mention she wasn't coming.
Oh, okay. So I do have something in my notes here somewhere about what she would like to do. Maybe I shouldn't be the one to start since I'm not prepared to discuss that at this
Oh, they were
time.
online and people printed their own. You could, I
Yeah.
suppose, make a copy of mine if you want to.
I took notes about what she wanted. Well, I can read her email too. The first thing I know is increase attention to education.
Where are you looking, which section are you looking at?
Hold on. Well, she just said she had some general comments. so-
Yeah, well, I would say the same thing.
Shoot.
Publicity is mentioned in several places, and we haven't been as good as we could be.
Can I
All
jump
right,
in?
let somebody else go
Sure.
first then.
Okay, so I sent around to everybody a draft that I formulated, and just tweak some things. My overarching feeling is that it's awfully long, and I wonder if it could be abbreviated and made more punchy, and just hit the keynotes that we want to hit. Another thing structurally, I thought, well, the first thing out of the gate after sort of the executive summary, the first couple of paragraphs, we have DHC priorities overview. And then it jumps into enumerating each of those 4 priorities in a whole separate wave. It starts all over again. That was a bit confusing for me at first, so structurally I was wondering if we could move those priorities into and under the umbrella when you first mention, say, for instance, physical preservation, and then put the 4 or so bullet points, bring those up and put those under physical preservation. Then you get into documentation, I think was the next. Put those 4 or 5 bullet points under that. So while you're still on the subject, you're giving people specific information about what you want to do. And the other overall, I think we should mention like key terms that we use these days, like heritage tourism, cultural landscapes, and we should probably make a nod somewhere to preservation is green in our day and age of climate change. So we're repurposing and reusing materials and that sort of thing. That's sort of missing because
Just as an interjection in the middle of that, I don't know how many of you get the Mass Historical Commission's news, but that has been the
Yeah.
hot topic.
Yeah.
Is the fact that taking down houses and rebuilding new ones is not,
Yeah, so, yeah, I should give credit where credit's due. That's what I read in today's.
well, it's been
listserv.
several days, yeah.
Several, yeah. But, yeah, thinking, yeah, we're not mentioning that, and that's good. Because this is for people who are logging in and wanting to know about us, so it's for the sort of uninitiated. So giving them that bit of information, I think, is important. And then I sort of cleaned up some of the language. Some of it was just, it's sort of like, it's just like get and conduct and begin and update, and I just was trying to make it a little snappier, like just launch in with an action verb at each bullet, like establish, coordinate, affirm, and that sort of thing.
And while you're cleaning it up, will you make sure that the Form B apostrophe S is taken out? That's a bugaboo that really drives me crazy. The Form B doesn't own anything.
Right, it's not possessive, right, it's, yeah, plural, yeah. But those things, and I don't know, this is a challenge to all of us. Can we, you know what I mean by a so-called one-pager? Can we get everything, could we condense all our goals onto one page? I mean, do we go on and on and on, and it's just like, it gets to be a bit of a bore? I don't know if that's possible.
It certainly could be briefer.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Do you remember who wrote this,
Probably
Linda?
read
I would guess it was Diane.
I think we need to be careful, though, to keep the language, I like the action verbs. I think like liaise, not commonly used, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe things that are a little
Yes.
academic sounding. We
Yes,
might
we
wanna
want
back
this for the
off.
whole community.
But I
Did I
agree
use
that,
liaise?
yeah, I would
I did?
oublier le liaise and get something a little bit more.
Okay. Well, yeah,
Bread and
connect,
butter.
contact, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
But in general, I think it's a good thing. I think we should maybe just get a subcommittee or something. Do we do subcommittees?
I think that would be a fine way to go about it.
Because there are a lot of good ideas, and if we could just funnel it into two people and have them meet for coffee and hash it out and come back with something, I think that might be a good way to go.
Jamie Sands is always volunteering for that subcommittee.
Did I? Well, I sort of have a busy upcoming month or so. Could
Don't
anybody
we
else?
all?
I mean, I put some time into this already.
Yeah, I
Could
think you
somebody
put
else-
some time into it
Yeah,
already.
could somebody else step up? That's,
I have a couple of generic ideas that may not fit. I might miss the whole thing, but I think there's no mention at all of conserving or preserving information. It's all about physical stuff. And I think we missed the boat. I think we should be making sure we at least preserve the information. Sometimes you can't stop a demolition, but we should preserve the information about a property or whatever other information. I've always felt that we've let the town records that are in the vault just sort of go to waste. They're mixed up, they're not in very good shape.
Well, they have someone working on them right now.
Well, about time.
Yeah, exactly, but I think you're right, both our own,
But they should at least be preserved
I
and
thought that-
digitized, if nothing else.
in there
Because they're
somewhere.
all on paper. And the other issue that I have is that ever since I've been on the commission, I've always felt we're chasing our tail because we don't do anything until we get a demolition request. And I believe that somehow as a background project, because it's a big project, we should develop a scheme where we can put a number, and I have a way to do this, on every property in the town that's over a certain age, so that when something comes up, we already know whether it's worth fighting about. And we should have be a proactive approach. And if we did that, there are ways to develop a scale that can be done using the criteria from the architectural significance list of what are the things that make for architectural significance. Define each one of those. Define those that have to do with historic significance. Develop weights. There's a whole scheme that's been done in industry for years that you can end up with good judgment and logical evaluation of properties. So when you start looking at what should we, maybe we ought to go and talk to a landowner or homeowner and say, hey, this is a really valuable property. If you're ever going to do anything, you should coordinate it with somebody or something like that. I think we get ourselves painted into a box when we wait till somebody comes with a demo request. We got a limited amount of time. to
We've
make
got
something.
6 months only to think
Yeah.
about it, or to convince them. I have probably the beginnings of that, because I have the town database, and I have the dates, and I go back to it when we look at what we're going to do more Form Bs on, and see what we're missing by age. But they're not rated, but you can sort by date built,
Yeah,
and that does.
age is one criterion.
Age is one, but also architectural significance.
Well, can I just interject something and build on that idea, which I think is a brilliant idea?
Here is terrible.
Okay, I just wanted to build on your idea, which I think is quite good. I'm wondering if this is something, if it's going to be posted on the website, could we make it interactive? So for anybody looking at preservation
people
goals,
feel-
we could have a linked highlighted thing, is my home historic? And you'd click on that, and then you'd put in your address, 1150 Russell's Mills Road, and it would tell you that. Now, but all of that's a bit beyond us in terms of our talent and technology and so forth. That would be a great project, again, if we had some money in the kitty to pay a consultant. You need a consultant to pull all that information together for us to make it an
Maybe
interactive thing.
CPC could fund that.
Well, Linda's an expert on what they fund or don't fund. CPC. Or it could be the money that we're looking for to have in our own pot of funds, down the road. But anyway, that's just my sort of riff on building on your idea, which is cool and good. And it gets, as you say, it gets the people out there a bit more educated before they start redesigning a house or deciding to take something down. They can see, oh, yeah, my house was built in 1767 or something like that, and I better not be taking it down, or I need to think twice about
I
it.
can do a little outline of how the technique would work numerically. It's a combination of numerics and people's judgment. You get a panel of experts on architecture or history, and based on a criterion, you get them to rank something if, in fact, it's not measurable. If it's measurable, you measure it. How many rooms? 4, 6, 10.
Yeah,
You
that's,
know, is the bedpan comfortable? How do you measure that? So you rank it, so give it on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think? And you use those as numbers and so forth.
I'd be happy to share what I have with you,
Okay.
because all you have to do is put another field in what I've got, and I think it would meet your need.
Okay.
Sounds like you're volunteering, Bob.
I could actually create what you're talking about. I did a GIS degree for archaeology, and I've done things like that.
Do you have the time? But still.
Well, it would be, I would want to obviously get paid for something like that, and I don't know if that would set up a conflict of interest.
Yeah,
but-
we can't pay you as long as you're on the commission.
Right.
But as I say, I have the town database with all buildings, the year built, and all the information about what we have Form Bs and don't have Form Bs on, well, most of it, and already established. And that's a start in the right direction. If we know we have a Form B on it, then we know we can go look at it. Then there are still some buildings that should have Form Bs that don't. And that's how I come back each time and say to the contractor, these are the things that need doing. And I still have some that are marked due that haven't been done.
Don't we already have that list on the left-hand side of our webpage that shows all the properties that are listed in the inventory?
And Judy's distributed that before.
So we've already got a good head start on that. If
Yeah.
somebody wanted to look their house up, if they're in that inventory, then they've got a match. But that's their initiative and there's no search for that. No search engine to say, plug in your street
And
address.
that just brings, the next point I had was, what, to quantify the scope of this, what's our grand total inventory of Form Bs that are recorded, are in town? Do we have 200, 400, 500?
Well, it's in my computer, but I can't answer that right now.
The list is in the back.
Oh, okay. I was
The
just,
list?
well, maybe later, but I was just kind of curious about how big of a project this
There's a
would be.
list in the back. It's a master list with all the.
In the other room?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Do you want it? Want to go get it?
Do you mind?
I printed it up at one point. The other thing, and it
Thank you.
may seem a little strange to you, but I was looking at the advocacy, and there's one thing that I think we should be concerned about that probably nobody's given much thought, and that's the interesting industrial piece of archaeology, if you will, the ice cream stand that's down on Smith Neck Road. It doesn't appear that nothing's being done, but it's one of those idiosyncratic buildings, like the Bucket, like the Freight's Dairy Bottle.
Salvador.
Oh, Salvador's, right?
Salvador's, yeah.
Salvador.
And he doesn't seem to be doing anything with it, and I don't know whether he has any plans, but it's something I've been watching fairly carefully just to make sure it isn't falling apart, and it's on my list of things to be concerned about for just that reason, because there was quite a stew going around for a while with, there's a group, and I can't think of the name right now, who are interested in those buildings specifically, the kind of idiosyncratic buildings that are shaped like hot dogs and dinosaurs that dispense food and things like that. But I think it's worth thinking about saving. It was originally in New Bedford, I believe, and was moved here. And it's not a new building by any means, and it's been pretty well cared for, but I think we should make sure that it stays cared for.
How do we go about doing that?
We might, to begin with, ask him what his plans are. You know, does he plan when
We
he
have to find out who the owner is and send them a letter?
lives next door? He's a teacher.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, so it's somebody you know.
Well, I don't really know him, but I know who
That's
he
the
is.
need in that.
He,
Of the master
and he would
plan.
he would run it in the summertime.
Oh, I
and he-
remember.
And he just couldn't get
Yeah.
people to work for him. But, you know, does he plan when he retires to run it again, or what does he plan to do with it? Because it's still his. And he's in the dairy, which was the Salvatore's dairy. He lives in the dairy.
So should we send them a letter and say,
Yeah.
we're, as a commission, we're concerned about the future of this iconic landmark, and we were wondering if we could
What his
dis-
plans are, yeah.
We could discuss if you have plans for the building and how we might help you to preserve it. I mean, it seems, one of my frustrations is. we
See,
have-
these are all, these are all,
Don't mix it up.
okay, but these are all duplicative. See, everything started at 153, 153. So it's just a two-page staple thing. So
Salvador's
is that,
gonna be a
is that
tough
the
one.
grand total?
They're not
No,
selling ice
I-
cream out of it.
yeah, I
How are
was
they
gonna
gonna justify?
No way.
Sinking
Right.
money?
There's a full list
What do
somewhere.
they-
Oh, these are all, these are all the same, 153, 153. So those are,
These would be only the ones that need to be done.
okay. Okay, so now there's this.
I can't even get people.
That looks more like the
Likely.
whole
So ice
list.
cream in my camp.
Well, let's see, no, these are all, these are stapled, kind of bass backwards. We're not. Well, here's different numbers. Maybe you would add these two together.
Are we getting feedback, or am I hearing something else? What's that?
Okay,
Yeah.
I
wonder
have
if-
Sue's email now, if anybody, if you want me to report on what she'd like to do with the
yeah.
100.
preservation. She said she's in favor of keeping the current goals, possible additions, that she had thoughts about doing a better job of educating the public. For example, how a resident can research the age and history of their home. There was a program offered at one time called something like House Detective. MHC probably has a list of speakers. So getting something on,
Thank you.
something on the website for the public so that they could learn how to research their own home. You know, look for these features, or we could have, if, I was thinking if somebody from MHC had a list of speakers, we could videotape something from one of those and have a YouTube link, something like that. There must be stuff out there already made.
Yeah, I'm sure
No,
there
it's-
is, yeah.
It's commonly taught in colleges, et cetera. The other, so House Detective, that was one thing, and then she said, another educational outreach for residents might be one on the tax incentives of an HPR. So she'd like to see those things, be put forward, maybe on the website, highlighted anyway. She also says, I was hoping we could look at a bylaw to protect stone features in town, and this was one of mine as well, including but not limited to walls, barways, posts, wells and well caps, foundations, etc. And she suggested that Jeff Howery would be a good resource for that. And yeah, I think that's absolutely true. You know, I see signs, who will buy your own old stone wall. You see those posted on telephone poles, and it just
We
makes
don't
me
want them to do that.
cringe.
Yeah.
So I think that should be, I would make that a priority as well. And she said, lastly, I think we should start pulling some photos from the archives and get them up as a slideshow in the DHC section of the town's website.
So that whole site should be upgraded.
Yes, there's a lot of
What is that?
opportunity there.
Well, our photos are now, most of them hanging in the room next door. And part of the problem is that when we put, that was originally an exhibit we did years ago. Were you here then, Linda, when we did that big exhibit in what was then the gallery, and the gallery doesn't exist anymore?
No, but somehow I know what you're talking about.
And so a lot of those pictures that were made for the exhibit were made through the same contractor that the museum was using at the time. And they shortly afterwards shut down, and I think they were reusing their chemicals because the fix-it wasn't good, and some of those pictures have faded badly. But I think with today's technology on the computer, one could make them look a whole lot better. But those pictures are mostly hanging in the room next door, and it wouldn't be too difficult to scan them and fix them.
Does anybody know if there is a service component to the senior year's experience at Dartmouth High or at Stang? Because a service, you know, one service project that might be something to reach out to a history teacher or something could be to scan the photos and get them ready for uploading. Or, and that could be true of Form Bs or anything else. There
Yeah.
could be a lot of,
Well, MHC has all the Form Bs, or most of them, accessible. We just really need to link to them. The other thing that occurred to me, the very last thing here is continue to mark cemeteries with identifying signs. I have currently at my house 4 signs because I just can't mount them myself, and we need to think about getting those signs mounted. And it's going to take a truck to move the posts and a lot of shovel work. Jordan, you were there when we did the Cuffey sign, weren't you? When we installed the Cuffey Cemetery sign on Fisher Road. in
Wasn't
Old West-
there.
You weren't there? I was trying to remember who was there.
It was one of the guys who was on the commission, that was an architect,
Damon?
yeah.
I wonder if Damon would consider serving again. Damon is retired from doing Schmid. I don't know whether he's doing any work on his own. His wife just got elected to the school committee. So I don't know what Damon's doing. I see Damon at the chamber music concerts. He takes his mother. And I think it's something to think about because he was an asset and we should have an architect. And he's certainly a qualified architect.
Send him an email.
Yeah, Ronto.
Can I just make a comment on something? All right, so this circles back to Bob's idea. And is it fair to say, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but your idea is something we develop into an interactive map, right? That develops historic sites for the users? Okay. Well, Linda just sort of gave an estimate as to what she thought. She thinks there's approximately 400 recorded, surveyed historic properties. So that helps flush out the scope of this project. We've got 400 points to put on the map. And
Well, they're most of them on the GIS, I think, or a lot of them
Aren't they
are.
already on our town website?
Most of them are, I think.
Well, I meant, though, to make it an interactive one that somebody
I
point,
think what you really want is a link from the database to this goal thing, so that people don't have to go find what you want them to find.
yeah.
Things need to be linked better.
Well, we have our own TV show.
Well, what I'm thinking of is when I go to the assessor's GIS map, do you all use that? Are you familiar with that? And you type in your address and I type in mine. And then if it was a historic preservation one, you click on my address and the historical information would come up. Your house was built in 1775. It was the Pound Keeper's Cottage and this, that, and all the various permutations. It has been over the generations and what we've recorded in the various things. This is it. This is what it would
Yeah.
look like, right? Is this what we
Well,
want?
I'm not sure I've made myself very clear. The first thing we would have to do, in my opinion, is to develop the tool. To develop the tool, we need a list of criteria for each of the two basic criteria, architectural significance
Okay.
and historical significance. Let's make a list of criteria that we want to put into the evaluation scheme for each one of those properties. Once we get the tool made, then we go through property by property and develop a number using the tool. And the tool
Oh, I see. Yeah.
involves a
Gotcha.
panel of people putting their value on individual details. Then we sum them up and weight them and come up with a single number that is relative to all the others.
Okay. So we're grading the properties
Yeah, yeah.
by historical or architectural significance.
But those that have Form Bs, we should be able to link to the Form B.
I would think so, but the criteria are probably not explicit. When somebody does a Form B, they say it's
Yeah.
Georgian, four-dormer, blah, 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 blah. Nobody says this is really important, this is really important.
Because George
This is
Washington
so-so.
slept here, for instance. yeah.
I'm trying to put values
Yeah.
on
Yes.
the criteria.
Yeah.
The
Well,
thing on the Form Bs that gives criteria is the check mark for, is it national
If
register?
they're eligible.
That's
There
what
you
I was
go.
just gonna
Yeah.
say
So
that.
some of them are already checked
Yes,
and
yeah.
have been.
So that becomes a big weight,
Right.
yeah.
So
but
that
I
you're
think-
talking about the ones that have not got that check mark, that we kind of rate those.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well,
You know what it's like, we're all on the internet, you see these advertisements for how much is your neighbor's house worth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing.
How historically
No,
significant is yours? Yeah.
How historically significant,
Yeah.
Yeah.
how architecturally significant
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
your house.
Brilliant, yeah. And like 1 through 10.
Yeah.
1 is not
Well,
much,
except
and
that
10
we
is,
do it
yeah,
individual criterion by criterion, and then we put them all together.
You could add them up,
Because
yeah.
you're weighing one reason why it's significant against another one, and against all the others. So it's an accumulation of values.
Huge job, but good. I mean, yeah.
It's an interesting design project for someone who's interested in designing data.
Yeah, well, that's where it comes from. That's what I've done in my life.
Yeah, okay. Well, so where do we go with that idea? Do you want to start working on it?
I'll write some stuff up.
Okay,
I won't do the whole thing. I'll write some stuff up.
okay, and I will share with you what I have.
What, the most important thing I would need early is think about what does it take to make something architecturally significant from a preservation point of view. Likewise, from a historical point of view. And I can think of some things historically, because that's my stick. Like, who lived there? What did they do? And stuff like that. But what events in the history of the town of Dartmouth are connected with this house? Think of a whole list, because we're going to deal with a whole big list.
Yeah.
And then try to get it all together.
And also, how many of them are
Systematic.
there? There are still an awful lot of little Greek revival houses around town, but some of the earlier styles, there are
Exactly.
very
Is this
few
one of a kind?
representatives. Yes, this is,
Like the house that went down on Chase Road, that had those little windows up under the eaves.
yeah.
That disappeared. Mm-hmm. That was a significant house. Mm-hmm. And for one of those reasons was the architecture, but it slipped away.
So we already have the Secretary's standards that we can go by for all the
We can
criteria. They're just
convert
not,
those, right.
they're just not specific to Dartmouth, so we would kind of add that layer in once we've looked at the standards.
Good.
Is that
Good.
what?
I'm glad I'm getting this response, because I've thought about this for a long time. I've done this with other stuff. I actually used to teach once, a long time ago, and I used an example, designing a bedpan. That's why I used it.
That's why I use that example.
Some of the criteria for what makes a good bedpan are really elusive. Is it comfortable? Is it strong? Is it attractive?
Is somebody else going to take it away?
Yeah,
Is it easy to carry? Yes.
yeah, exactly. Okay, enough from my.
Okay, so there are lots of ideas that have come out of this. And we will try to pull all this together and see where we are by the next meeting. You'll do a little something,
I will
I'll
do
work
something.
with you. We have all these things that I've drawn circles around. And let's see if we can begin to think about what we might do. And Chris, this is something that the Buddies Committee put us to doing. And so you might report that we're working on it.
Okay, I will do that.
By the same token, this goes to the Community Preservation Committee, and for some reason, it was put in our office.
Okay,
You
I'll
want it?
bring it tomorrow. Yes.
Okay, very good.
If you remind me before I leave, because I'll.
Yes,
look out
well,
for
we'll
it.
pass it down.
What is it?
Yeah, what is it?
What is it?
Oh, it's the state
It's her,
register.
it's her.
Yeah, okay, a hard copy.
It's hard copy of the, turn it over to the State Register of Historic
And
Places.
just a reminder that I'm still looking for somebody else to be going to those meetings coming up soon.
Well, it's something to think
So
about.
once you rope that guy into coming back to the commission.
Well, I don't know whether I can rope him, but I'll mention to him. I don't know, I have no idea what he's doing other than taking his mother, she's in a care facility, taking her to the concert. But I'll communicate with him. Did I?
Well, I had some ideas about the preservation goals too, but they're not really any different from anybody else's. I really think that education and outreach should be prioritized. just kind of coming in as the newer person, I had a vision of what this group might do, and it's a little different in reality. And what I see us spending all our time doing is deciding if people can put in the right windows.
Yes.
And so it's not a preservation goal, but I think a goal in general that I just like to put out there is for us to shift and to try to make some, and I emailed you this, what can we do to streamline the demo review so that, I get, maybe it goes along with what Bob was saying too, so that if it's not something that's a historic house, if it's rated a 10, you know, compared to the one that might have gotten nominated, and they want to replace the same exact style of windows, you know, it's a 6/6, and it's going to be Anderson this time instead of whatever it was in 1940. Like, do we really want them to come in here? Do we need to talk to them? Or is there a way that now that we're online and there are pictures and we can ask them questions, can we do more to get that done during the month and not have it be the centerpiece of every meeting that we have? So that we could even spend time at the meeting writing the preservation goals again, instead of saying, oh, we need to have a subcommittee and then nobody wants to go do it. So I guess I didn't realize how much in balance of this committee's work was going to be windows.
Well, you
I'm
are,
learning.
you have realized, and we all have come to realize, this is why the first time this matter of demolition review was voted down by this commission, because this commission didn't want to do that kind of work. And ultimately, this commission decided it wanted to do that kind of work. And the question is, I wonder if other towns have solved this problem.
I know Newport has. Because I had, for school last year, I had to watch a bunch of their historic commission meetings in Bristol and a few others, and then we all discussed them in class. And they had a couple of streamlined procedures for if it was pretty much like for like. You know, they had a series of questions, I guess, that got answered in the application, so that if it was satisfactory and the commission had created that criteria, then they didn't have to appear. It got signed off by the chair. Chair would bring it up at the meeting in case anybody objected or they wanted to ask more questions, but basically it got dealt with behind the scenes and during the month and didn't take up time at the meeting. Some did, you know, if it was a big job, if it was not like for like enough or whatever. There were a lot of reasons why people still had to show up. I think the work is worth doing. I'm not saying that, and I want to continue to do it. I just wonder if we can use our time more wisely and streamline that process for the sake of our clients or whatever, as well as our own meetings.
Yes.
Are they elected, or how are they, how do they put them in the commission status in Newport?
I have no idea.
Do they have to apply for the position, or do they get elected to the position?
I have no idea. I just was, for an assignment, we had to watch 3 other towns' historical commission meetings and see what they talked about and write a little report and talk about it in class. And I just noticed how much of what they dealt with had already been dealt with by the time they got to the meeting. But it's something I'd be happy to reach out to Newport and see how they do it and say, here's what we're struggling with.
Why don't you invite them over and have them come over and give a lecture or something?
Well, she could start by talking to somebody.
Yeah.
I
I'll
mean,
start
it-
by reaching out, and then I can get some feedback from them, and
Can I make, oh, sorry, go ahead.
What you are suggesting is a real process that does work. I live in a deed restricted residential HOA thing. And every time you change the color of your front door, or you change anything about your property, there is a form you have to fill out. And the majority of them are processed, as you say, during the month by the people on the commission. And the only people who have to come before the board at the monthly meeting are the ones that they have serious questions about. The rest of them are all, through the check mark, checking. Information are all processed during the month. So at the meeting, they do the formal approval of all of the ones that have been submitted, and then question anybody who has been brought to the meeting to discuss in further detail.
That's exactly what I'm thinking
It
about.
works smoothly.
That's what I wanted to see, exactly.
So, could I make a comment? So, Chris's idea is good, it's on point, it's probably the direction we need to head. Bob's idea is on point, direction we need to head as well, to grade these buildings and so forth. So now back to just the goals that show up on the website. Do we continue to work and refine and edit those to make them a little more nimble and punchy?
Yes.
But at the top of the list, call it, these two ideas they presented across in red ink or whatever, say actionable items or on the boards. These are two things that the commission is looking to do. And we just do a bulleted point paraphrasing what you want to do and paraphrasing what Bob wants to do. Those are our goals. We can't really deal with them immediately. It'll take time. But until such time, at least our final goals draft will reflect that sort of thing and bring it right up to the top. Maybe that's important to let people know it's timely, it's important to us, and give them a heads up that that's what's on our minds. I don't know.
Well, she can certainly report to CPC, but we came up with a lot of ideas, and I think if you could take the ideas that were discussed tonight, put them into your streamlined form, and have it for next time around, we could at least have something more to deal with. What do you think?
Well, that goes back to kind of what I said this coming month. I'm a bit hammered, so.
I'm up for working on it. I have a really tough month as well, but I just hate seeing everything always get kicked down to the next month, and we never actually, finish anything.
Yes, exactly. That's why I'm saying let's try to make an effort to do something.
So I would set aside 2 hours to work with somebody and create a new set of goals based on your new draft, the ideas that we just came up with and stuff.
Can you do it with Jamie? Can you give up 2 hours sometime to do this?
Or one?
Well, mentioned like that, yeah, sure.
I don't wanna spend more than 1 hour doing it either.
But, okay, so you had some ideas
And
for
Sue had
revisions.
some
Sue had some ideas.
Yeah.
Jordan, did you have any ideas or not?
Not big ideas,
Okay.
little comments, but
Okay.
nothing major.
And this down the line, Phil, did you have a chance to look at it? Did you have any ideas to add? Judy, we know what Bob's are. Do we know what Robert's? Did you
Well, I
have-
picked up this book, and it's from Little Compton Historical Society, and it has a breakdown of families who lived in the houses that it would be a guideline.
Nice looking book. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
guideline of all the people who live in Little Compton, and they did a detail of who's who.
Biography, yeah.
Biography. So, but like the computer issue is, I'm still working on it. I went to the base this past beginning of the week, and they don't sell any computers on the base that are linked to the telephone lines because of all the secrecy and stuff. They don't want people on the base with
Unsecure.
unsecured, so basically I can't get a laptop over there. So anyway, I'm still working on getting a bigger phone. I just got an offer from T-Mobile. They have a newer phone that's coming out and they're offering me. And I also know Linda has got a little pad that would probably, now you can go online with that pad and get everything you need to, for the presentation of the meeting.
And we have a computer in the office you can use, except you have to come in here to use it.
But I like to learn to, I'll get a bigger one because my eyesight's going a little bit. But anyway, to pick up emails and stuff from who's generating them, so, but this should have been worked on when they had the 100th anniversary back in 1964. Somebody should have thought of this and presented it and worked on it, and we wouldn't be in this problem we have now.
Well, we didn't have the tools then that we have now.
Can I make, I don't know, I don't want to make the concluding remark, but let me just offer this out to everybody. So you're going to be our head poopah on this little subcommittee, okay?
Which is going to last for 2 hours.
Yeah, okay.
Is that a Zoom?
Everybody, please, if you and I will use my draft as the bones for the revised thing, we'll work off of that.
Okay.
If you read it and you
Yep.
thought it was acceptable.
I have notes.
Everyone, please send any of your additional comments for improvements to Chris. You'll be the filter.
Yep.
And upon which she and I can review suggestions and incorporate them in. Then we'll present them to you at the next meeting. Does that seem like a reasonable way to
Yeah.
coalesce this?
And I think we should give ourselves the extra step of having it in a format that could just be given to Chad to toss up on the website.
Oh, absolutely, sure. And at least that gets done pronto.
Yeah.
And these other good ideas,
And you and I can pull together you can look at my form
Yeah,
and see what you could do to it as a beginning at any rate.
I got one more question.
I have another comment.
Diane Gilbert created this. Did she leave any footnotes or anything else with it?
I don't know what that is.
That's the,
2013 goals.
The goals. I don't know. But I think this is what's up, and I think this is what we're working with.
Start with that.
DCTV called me and invited me to join a group that DCTV is making something for Buddy Baker. And I'm not too sure what it's gonna be, but I suspect it's gonna be about all their projects.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna have an opportunity, I suppose, to put in my 2 cents worth. So I'm probably gonna say something like you've already heard tonight from me, because I don't think CPC supports any preservation of information at all. They just do other projects.
They're doing the town records.
They're paying for the town records project.
Yeah?
Yep.
Unfortunately, that could have been done free by Family Search. And apparently nobody realized that and is paying for it.
But that's, I think, well beyond us at this point, because I think they're pretty much done.
Yeah, it was done before the kid left that Haddad. I think Haddad
Oh,
said
yeah,
that.
Cody.
Yeah.
Well, could I also just add, a deadline for everybody to submit things to Chris would be the middle of this month, May 15th. That gives Chris and I the last 2 weeks of the month to get together for our little meeting and get things to you. But we need to have a deadline. These things just can't
Yes,
kind of
yeah,
sit.
it helps.
Yeah, yeah. So if you have an idea, and if you don't send anything, you've missed your chance to contribute.
Crying ducks.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have a draft ready for next meeting. And if it's approved, then we can give it to Chad to put that on the website. We can tell CPC that we have reviewed our goals and if anything needs to change, then we'll do it in the next month. I don't see, I think it can be tightened up and.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah, I'll put on my English teacher hat again.
Okay, I started to ask you and you were talking about something else. Is school over for you?
Yes, I finished last year. I only did a 1-year
Ah,
master's
okay.
certificate, not the whole master's.
So who is the audience that we're targeting for this? Is this people in the town jobs? Is it people who own homes? Is it, who is this intended to motivate and to reach?
That's a great
Who are we
question.
talking to?
I would, if I were to guess, or, I think it's the people who don't know what the DHC does.
What?
People who don't know what the DHC is and what we do and what we want to do, and how it applies to them and why they should have to come before us, and that would,
But this was done for CPC originally.
I'm
And
just thinking about somebody visiting the website and
Yes.
seeing it.
I think you're absolutely right from that point of view. And that's why I think it makes sense to write it in a way that's clearly approachable.
That's the point.
We could even do 2 versions, in a way. We could do one that's CPC oriented, that has everything fleshed out. And then once we get that approved, a second step after next month, we could take that and say, okay, well, what is it that we really want to show the public? And then we could pare it down even further and even have links. So if we, going back to Sue's idea about the education and outreach, we could say, here's our goal, and then have 2 links under that. One would be how to decide what, how can you figure out the age of your home, and the second one might be, could I get a tax credit? So we could have some of those goals and then have some concrete things on the web as education under each one of those. Links for people to follow to get some help or get some education or
Why
get
don't you
involved.
design a course, and then I can enroll in it.
Well,
Now, my
hopefully.
teaching days are done.
Anything else on this subject? Have we've made a lot of progress, I think, and I'll try to summarize my notes. You can summarize all the other notes, and we'll see where we end up.
15th.
Okay, by the 15th. Okay.
You could copy me on it, but make Chris the head person you send it to, I guess. At least I'll
I
have.
nominate Chris as the head honcho of this new outlook on our preservation upgrade.
Aye.
I'm just going to be editing
Just a Zoom person.
resumes.
Okay, should we get back to old business?
Structural survey. Did we get CPC complete? Did we vote on anything for CPC?
No.
Is there anything up to be,
Well, I was getting getting back to old business. We've done new business. And the next on old business is Bob Harding.
Okay, I'll try to make it quick. I'm very happy to be able to announce that we have a date for our celebration of the publication of the books and the transcriptions of the Quaker Records. And the date is Saturday, July 22nd, as I announced. And Linda DeRoche is going to be the planning director, so I'm going to ask if Linda wants to, you want to summarize what we've already talked about?
I wasn't prepared to summarize, but yes, okay. So, as Bob just said, there will be a get-together on July 22nd for all of the people who worked on the project as a celebration and as a thank you. And at that time, hopefully, it will also be an opportunity for some of the people who do this for a living to come and actually give more information about the project and how important it is in the big picture of what is not always done at this level. But Bob and his group really have done a lot to put a lot of information available, both in the book but online as well. So it really is a big undertaking, and it really is a momentous project, and it really does deserve to have its own special day to kind of celebrate exactly what has happened. So it's going to be at the Whaling Museum on the 22nd of July, 12:30 in the afternoon. There will be a list of people who get invited, and hopefully we'll have some extra people who can come and help celebrate the process and the product and what has gone on. There will be refreshments, yes. A light lunch, a light lunch. A light lunch, yes, for sure.
On the list.
Who's on the list?
Not on the list.
If you've been naughty, you're not on the list.
We did, just tonight, open the box with the books that came to the Historical Commission.
Oh, good.
I didn't open them, but I trust by now the books are complete.
All the ones we know of that
Okay,
have had a problem have been replaced.
You
but,
want me to go get the books and you can,
no, but I'll look when I go back there. Just because I was one of the select few who got one of the books that was missing a section. So I was very much aware of it. Very good.
Test, Judy. It was a
Well,
test.
yes, I noticed it.
It was a test.
You passed.
At least
Well, I
we'll
passed.
just
I
check and
found
see
it.
If you read the book, that's all.
Well, I tried to. Okay. Do you have any programs upcoming?
I have one other thing I'd
Yeah.
like to share, and I want to pass around a few pages. You can send them that way, and send them that way.
Have you got one for
I
yourself?
got one for everybody.
Yeah.
They're all different.
What was the
Oh.
total number of books that you figured out were defective?
6.
So that wasn't too bad.
No, it
6
wasn't.
have been replaced, yeah. And we haven't heard of any others, so as soon as we hear of them, we replace them.
Thank you.
These are printed on 2 sides. There's enough for everybody.
If you keep passing.
I'm going to tell you about a little project that results from the big project.
We're short a couple.
can we have
Send
2
more.
more, please?
This is just an illustration. But this is the beginning of a project that is going to identify the people who lived in Dartmouth during the colonial period, and is going to give you live links to information about their biographies, what they did in their lives. You'll notice it's printed on 2 sides. So far, I've only done the names beginning with A. And this is a PDF file, and each one of the numbers, the page numbers, is a link that will take you into the book itself,
Take you right to that.
right to it on the internet, and you'll be able to find out what the record says about that person. Yes.
There was a lot of Phillips.
That's
There was
very
a
cool.
lot of Phillips.
Yeah.
Yeah, very popular name. But the point about this is only one of the primary databases that we have available that identifies colonial residents of Dartmouth. It's like a census, you might say. And of course, the U.S. Census didn't begin till 1790. And these are from 1699, in this case, on. Our land records are from earlier than 1699 on, and the town meeting records are earlier. And so when we finish, we'll have documentary citations for individuals who lived in colonial Dartmouth. And you'll be able to go and get a full dossier of what their lives included, and it'll be documented, cited with, with a primary record. So it's a lot of work, obviously, but some of the work's already been done. And Judy was one of the people, and other people, Jordan also did some of the transcriptions made this possible. But the links were done, they're the part of the book. The live book on the internet has got, in its index, has got these live links. And so by capturing that and putting it into this kind of a format, you can provide somebody who's doing a genealogy of their family some information that they can use and cite and have a very solid case about what was really going on in the life of their family.
For better or worse, as it
But
turns out.
In a lot of these cases,
Yeah, a lot of
they
work.
use the word fornication. You don't know what that
And
means.
stealing watermelons.
It's
There's a lot
not
going
an
on.
uncommon.
Do you realize that this page you gave me is two-sided and it's the same person's name on every single one?
Yes, I can. That guy has been well documented, and they're all different page numbers, if you notice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a page for every different item. In some cases, I have multiple pages for one citation.
Oh, my.
So if you listed, if I put a line for every page, I'd have 10 times as much as I have here. But of course, I didn't do it that way. But the interesting thing about the page numbers, because they're from minute books, page numbers are from the men's minutes and the women's minutes. It's a linear time thing. Starting in 1699, every month there was a set of minutes. And so if it's on page 92, you know it's after 1699, but before 1785, and so forth. So it's, if I sorted it by page number, you'd have a timeline for the life of the person. So it's a pretty interesting project. But I'm only on A. Got 21 pages. And I'm only on the first two books of the transcriptions. All the other stuff we haven't put in a book form yet. So this is
I see a
tremendous
combination,
amount
oh,
of
sorry to
information
interrupt.
that is ready to be preserved and used to write history.
I see a combination for an illegitimate
I'll
child.
take those back. I can put them all in
one?
sequence.
Okay,
Well, maybe there are more, that's just the first, the only one.
well,
Oh, we all get different ones.
let's put it this way, Jamie, there's nothing new under the sun.
No, right, exactly, yeah. Okay. Do you want these back, Bob, or did you?
Yes, he does want them
Oh.
back.
Oh, I wrote all over mine.
Well, put back to him anyway.
Those were the days.
You can tell by how many entries who the heavyweights were in the old
Yes.
town of Dartmouth. Some people only got one line, others are there 40 times.
Okay. Okay, CPC.
CPC didn't meet last time, so I
Oh.
don't have a heck of a lot to tell you. But they're meeting tomorrow, so next month, stay tuned.
Okay, that's an easy report.
And the archaeological survey, I got an update from Holly today in advance of having to report on it tomorrow as well. And let's see, completed work, staff has reviewed the Macris database, looking for identifying archaeological sites and surveys already completed since the completion of the townwide survey. They created new mapping. Holly met with members of the DHC on March 6th, that was me and Sue, and we drove around and did some walks also on March 6th with her, and then she prepared and submitted an archaeologist permit application for the survey. Now they're conducting a research visit to MHC to copy site forms and reports not already on file. She's going to be revising the archaeological sensitivity maps with the updated information. And as information needs are identified, additional research and field checks will be conducted. And then she's going to start to draft the narrative sections for the report. And I have one little personal story to add to that. I went for a walk yesterday and I found, and I'm not telling where, a cluster of artifacts that I cleaned up and sent her pictures of them, and they are from 3,000 to 4,000 years ago.
Wow.
They included a squib-knocket point and some scrapers. They were all found within a 10-foot diameter location. And she said it was the only prehistoric, pre-contact site or find that has been recorded in the area that I told her where it was. So that was something she's gonna put
And
on
you
the
just
maps.
happened to see it?
Yes.
And it was there for, it's been there for 3,000 years, undisturbed
Yep.
until.
A little cluster
till
until I
Chris-
took a
Chris
walk.
took,
That's how it happens. I'm on this site on Facebook with, for Native American artifacts and stuff. And everybody talks about going out after it rains. And I thought,
did you
It
go
looks
out
like a good
last
day.
night? Did you
Yes.
go out last night?
I went out yesterday afternoon
Oh, wow.
and I came back
So you
with,
got a whole week of traveling wherever you're going, and these artifacts.
I'm not going anywhere, but the artifacts, yeah, they're beautiful.
Do you get credit for that? Are you gonna be in the
No.
Newsweek magazine?
I am not
No,
telling.
one doesn't want to spread that word.
Beautiful point.
Wow.
Lovely. Somebody scraped. So anyway, that was my big moment.
Yeah.
Sharp as a razor.
Wow.
That's a rhyolite.
I would like sometime, with permission, of course, to see a serious study of the King Farm property, what remains. Because, we came up against politics in the past with the pieces that had been the King Farm. And if that were to change hands or something happened along the way, who knows what would happen.
Well, if we could put it together, and we have all this money in the CPC fund, and that's an archaeological survey of a specific site would be a great use of funds, I would think.
Yeah, but it's not, it wouldn't be something that would be broadcast. They would do it incognito, right? They would.
What Native American things are not broadcast anyway.
Right. But we would find out the extent, and that way, if the property ever got developed, we would have more information about it before it was ruined.
Then you would have to have some sort of marshaling of the site before they started to.
It would have to be secured.
And
Anyway.
apparently Howie has quite a collection. I don't know what he has and where he got it, because he collects, but I'm not sure he has any documentation about where he collected.
But put a point, a GPS point where I found my stuff and sent it to Holly, and she put it on a form for MHC.
And
Today,
that's where it will hide.
yes.
Good.
So that's all I've got.
Wonderful. That's good news. Okay, next batch of Form Bs.
Okay, that's me and the RFP. Now, I believe I sent that out to everybody, and I was looking for everybody's review and comment on it and approval. So if I have that from everybody, I think we'll likely make a motion to accept that RFP and send it off to the Finance Committee. Now, did everybody?
I
do you
read
have
it.
Do you have a recollection of?
I read it and inwardly digested it, yes.
Yeah, okay.
You're thinking of town budget. You're not thinking to do Form Bs through CPC.
It is.
No, because, correct me if I'm wrong, Linda, this is something we, and Chris,
Yep.
this is something we aren't doing because we had to sacrifice that in order to put the archaeological survey first.
We had to
So
pick-
to answer
pick
your
one.
question, Judy, yes, we're looking for our own pot of money from finance to do Form Bs.
Every year.
And we're doing it under or at $10,000, so we don't have to do the bid process. We can do a sole
Yep,
source.
remember that.
They're $400 a piece, I think, per your, it may have gone up from your $350 from a few years ago. And therefore, we're doing, what's the math? 400 into 10,000 is
25.
You said 25.
and Linda, also, I think in the past, you said that range is for a year to get that That's good.
That's
So
reasonable, yeah.
That's our RFP. If everybody's seen it and agrees to that,
I've seen it, I think it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
so you're okay, you're on board with it.
And I'm on board with it. I have my reservations about the towns accepting it, but
It's okay, let's just go forward with it.
Go
though, and
forward
see what-
with it
yeah, let's just-
anyway and
Let's
see
just
what
put
happens.
ourselves out there and see if we get rejected or not. It's like
let
dating.
them know we exist.
Doing a letter,
We're doing it's a memo letter, it's an RFP, a
I want to
request
see
for
it, it's
proposal.
what- I have it
Yeah,
here.
so why don't we, I'll just go ahead and, I make a motion that we push the RFP through for the town, with the town budget, acceptance.
okay, fair enough.
Second.
Okay,
Okay.
so.
Any further
This is
discussion?
very Clear.
you feel
all
that
in
does it?
favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, well, it's as good as sent then.
Okay.
You like that language I did?
Yeah.
Can you believe I said that? It must be this little doll that I get over it. Where'd she go?
I think she fell off the table.
No, she's in the-
Okay, does that wrap in with budget increase in general?
Yeah, well, yes, yeah.
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 Yeah, it is a
What is it,
budget
a
increase.
5% increase? Yeah, but we don't do letters of stamp. We gotta get, each person here should have a mini pad, yeah. They can afford that, a little mini pads, a bunch of them for us.
Some people have their laptops that they use.
I think those,
Yeah.
somebody told me those, they use those on the F-22 jets, so why not?
Okay, so then the last thing I have here is the Thomas Plummer Memorial Plaque. And the town has taken it down.
Yay, yay!
Well, yes and no, because I have been, at the moment, unable to find out where we go from here.
Oh, you gotta get it out of that frame.
Yes, and I suspect they're doing that. And then what the DPW plans to do, we haven't heard yet.
Well, the American Legion wants to make a new plaque.
I
because they
can
have
answer
money.
all your questions.
Oh, good.
Yes. All right, so I put the pressure, I held, what's his name, Tim at DPW? Tim at DPW? Is that his name? Yeah, I held his feet to the fire. I held, what's the other guy's name? Brian at the Veterans Group. I held his feet to the fire. They got together, they took the memorial plaque off the railings. They contacted me, and we agreed that it just shouldn't hang out at DPW and get lost and be set on top of a filing cabinet and nobody knows what it is. So we made an agreement that I would accept it from them. So I drafted a memo that it outlines that whatever his name is, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry for that, but Brian's officially handing it off to me as a representative of the Dartmouth Historical Commission. So it's in our possession, with me being the recipient.
It's gotta go on it's gotta go on the bridge. Excuse me.
No, you're right. But it needs a couple of things, and let me just finish. And then in the meantime, I've been casting about for stone companies that would do we have various schemes we might do depending on what's allowable based on where we'd like to put it. We could do a boulder, and so I've been casting about to various stone and monument companies to get some prices. I've been casting out to some foundries to get prices on, would you recast this for us? Would you preserve it and restore it for us, clean it up, etc., and make another one possibly, so in case this one gets lost or stolen, we'd have one in reserve. So I'm in that bid process, I guess, if you will, looking around. And then I ideally, this is just me, and this is my idea, because of memorials from that period are typically put on granite boulders, that's what I would like to see. It may not be permittable based on how close it is to the road and safety issues, et cetera, et cetera. The second thing to do would be, if we do have to remount it to the rails, because there's no other place to put it on the abutments to the bridge, because they're no longer there like they used to be. We put a more proper plaque, we put that plaque upon another plaque and sort of piggyback it and make it bigger and more noticeable. and make it have more presence on those railings, so it doesn't get forgotten or passed by people, because it is actually kind of tiny. It's only 15 by 22 inches. So in the scheme of things, when you're out there, it's sort of big sky country when you're out there standing on that bridge looking out, so it gets a bit lost. So anyway, those are the two things. So that's the current status of the Plummer Memorial plaque.
The end upright of that bridge on the Plummer side
Yes,
as 2004, I think.
right.
Is it painted or is
It's
it,
impressed.
it is impressed?
It's a lot like the Dartmouth Bridge one. It's impressed into the concrete.
So it's not easily removed or removed and put somewhere else? Because there is a space big enough for that plaque there, and it's got just the date on it.
Well, that's an interesting point. Plan B is you could fill that,
Yeah, you
put the
could-
plaque over that,
Yes.
and put 2004 elsewhere on another.
Elsewhere, it doesn't have to be this big, frankly. 2004 doesn't have to
And
be.
now it's too late to impress it into the concrete, so it could be another plaque, small plaque too.
If there were a base plaque below the Plummer plaque, you could just cover those numbers, and put in a couple of bolts,
Right, yeah. Well, that's an idea, yeah.
which would be probably a simple way of doing it.
Yeah, but somebody probably wants, bridge historians probably want to keep the date the bridge was reconstructed, so we can move
Well,
that.
that could be made smaller and even put
Yeah.
down below or something.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
yeah, that's an idea. I never even thought about possibly sort of monkeying around with the impressed date there.
Okay, so you're onto that.
I'm on that.
Okay, what else do we have tonight to titillate our evening?
Do you accept Jordan's resignation?
No,
I don't think that has to be done. I've
No.
filled out the paperwork the town sent me.
no.
Does everybody-
They're not gonna reappoint me, that's all.
Does everybody know?
Well, I thought that would come up next time because he has one more time to smile upon us and take minutes, and then somebody else is going to have to do that job. And
Linda, I nominate Linda as the new,
Linda's got to move back here first. Linda,
I wonder how that works. I'm actually a part-time resident. I pay income tax to them.
yeah,
both.
I don't know how that
but
works.
aren't you a legal resident of Florida?
Yes, but part-time.
Well,
But a property owner in Dartmouth.
Is there
You're a
actually
property
law
owner
about
in
that, or
Dartmouth.
Is there a regulation?
I was a property owner in
Is there a
Dartmouth
lot
too,
of
but I wasn't a
places where,
resident, so
like
I was a
Petty
main
Yonge, there are a lot
resident.
of
So that's why I had to wait to
people
be
who are
on.
just
Yeah.
summer residents, and, but they do work, volunteer work for the town. And, because otherwise there'd be nobody to
Right.
do
You would
it.
have nobody doing anything
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you have any interest, or are those days over?
well,
May I
she's,
make a motion that we adjourn this fun time?
I didn't hear that for the moment, just because we're discussing Linda. It's such fun to discuss Linda. She's helping us anyway when she's here.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm here, is the point, I guess. So if I can do something more formally, I don't know if that would work.
Could you please try?
Yeah, we'd all like it if you would. She was chairman once.
Because we'll be losing
Please?
Jordan, and we'll be losing
I know,
the chair,
right.
yeah.
So we have to replace 3 people.
Yep.
Well, 2 people. We're just losing 2. Or is there someone else I don't know
Anybody
about?
else want to confess anything while we're here?
Who else's time is up?
Those are the two whose time is up
Yeah.
at this point.
At this point.
Okay.
So it does not match what's on the town website.
No, but we're missing one person already, so it really means we need 3 people. So talk to your friends. Is there any other business to come before us this evening? At 8:03?
I'll make a motion if
Now Philip,
second it.
I was gonna say
Phil
Philip can
Phil
make
made
his
it.
motion now. I now hear Philip making a motion.
I make a motion that we adjourn this wonderful meeting we had, a very productive one at that time.
Okay.
Philip, do you like my hat?
I love your hat.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?